To you, Dr. John LaPuma. He is a clinical director and founder of Chef Clinic, and he's a professionally trained chef, as well as a physician, an organic farmer who has pioneered the field of culinary medicine. Dr. LaPuma has authored or co-authored 7 books, 2 of which are New York Times sellers. He has recently released a documentary series on nature therapy called GreenRx, and today he's going to give a talk entitled Nature Works, Prescribing Office Plants for Burnout Prevention and Health. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. John LaPuma.
Thank you, Monica. Hello, everybody. I'm waiting. Yes, there we go, 1759. As you know, my interests have accumulated after clinical ethics and with it, and as Mark would say, for it as well. And even though he's not here, I want to say great thanks to Mark Siegler for inspiring all of us and being such a great mentor and friend to me personally. Today I'm going to speak about nature and its role in medical care, and the idea that it might be a medical intervention, much like food. As you heard, I have a little background in it, like prescription medication, which we all can give, and like clinical ethics prescriptions and consultations as well. These are my current projects and passions. Most relevantly, I have a nascent company called GreenRx, which this is around. And this project is called GreenRx and also Plant with a Doc. 3 parts today. One about stress and burnout. We're going to spend a little time about that. Second, about our pilot program, trying to relieve that in office workers in corporate America, some of whom are clinicians. And then thirdly, why nature might be effective for combating chronic stress and burnout. Stress and burnout. So the evidence that adults are stressed is right in front of us, not literally in front of me, but in front of all of us, because we operate this way. For the first time in its 10-year history, the American Psychological Association found a significant increase in chronic stress in 2017, the first time in that 10-year national survey. 2/3 of American adults are chronically stressed. The ICD-11 from the World Health Organization in 2022 will define burnout in terms of stress, chronic workplace stress, and remember this is a program about alleviating stress in the workplace, chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It ballparks burnout overall among the American workforce at 28%. In American medicine, the surveys of clinicians are as high as 66%. And in American medicine, we define burnout as having 3 cardinal characteristics. 1, depersonalization. 2, emotional exhaustion. And 3, a lack of pride in achievement. Then finally, there's a lot of evidence for nature deficit disorder, which I covered briefly last year. We spend 93% of our time indoors, including all of our time in the last day or 2. We spend 7% deliberately outdoors. And that is actually a reversal, almost precisely, of what the estimates were from 120 years ago. So there's been a lot of change and also evidence of stress, burnout, and nature deprivation. This is Z-Dog, Zubin Damiana, who defines burnout in really clear ways for physicians that I think all of us who are concerned about professionalism in medicine can identify.
Now, while the patient's holding out to connect, but how time's up over, blow. Age caps is reality, oh, depressed gaining means those depressed ladies get hosed with those Valium. Holding hands with them, no cope for that, meaning she don't get jack. Paperwork stacked and stacked on them. Heart broke, she's so sad, system broken so bad that she knows when she thinks back to that old she took, that's when it's back to the goal again, yo. She ain't selling her soul, time to wake up and I'm breaking, yo. Don't ever lose yourself in the system. The moment you wish and you should have gone to business school. You only get one shot, do not let them crush your soul. You should be proud to be working that Ivy Bowl. Don't ever lose yourself in the system.
Don't ever lose yourself in the system. Who was the original artist for that song? M&M, that's right. And if you don't know Z-Dog, you should Google him and follow him on Twitter and YouTube. He's a brilliant emergency physician who uses everyday songs to illustrate medical problems. I think Beanie Meadow actually starred in one of them. The results of adults being stressed is no surprise to any of us. We see this in clinic, whether it's back pain or neck pain or depression or other inflammatory conditions. In healthcare for physicians who are burned out, the effects are really striking. Uncalled for, unforced errors of all sorts, lapses in professionalism, poor learning ability, problematic alcohol and drug use, suicide rate that's 2.5 times the national average for adults. Male anesthesiologists, my friend Glenn Zimmerman back is one of them, have a rate that's 2.5 times, that's at highest risk among doctors, male anesthesiologists. Interestingly, if you deprive people of nature, they have some of the same symptoms of chronic stress and of healthcare burnout. They can't focus, they have increased ADD, they have problems with anxiety and sedentariness and obesity, and there's some overlap. So this is what nature looks like. You may not have seen it recently. And this, of course, inspires awe, awe being beautiful in this case, not fearsome. We'll cover that in a moment. And so we wanted to use nature to see if we could alleviate some stress symptoms, because there's actually pretty good data to suggest that green space improves a lot of these symptoms. Living around trees actually improves physical activity frequency. You go outside more. It improves mental health and cognition, improves social cohesion and self-esteem and mood. Blood pressure actually reverses myopia. Who knows that? Do the ophthalmologists in the audience? Yeah. It reverses myopia because kids are looking at screens like this, but when they look at a distance, their vision changes and their nearsightedness corrects if they do it for 60 minutes, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. And of course, most lifestyle diseases are reversible with environmental change. And interestingly, even hospitalized patients get better with nature. Those who have a view of trees stay in the hospital 1.1 days less than those with a view of a brick wall. They also use fewer opiate analgesics, the opioid crisis, fewer opiate analgesics, and they have a better experience in the hospital. This from a study of 1984 in Science magazine by a guy named Roger Ulrich, who's a landscape architect who changed hospital architecture. And that's why there are more windows in hospital rooms. They don't always point out to trees, but when you have a patient, your trees, you should have a patient that has a view of nature. So, can nature improve stress at work? We approached PathPoint, which is a 5-county company that has 500 employees in Southern California, and it's a very stressed out company. It's a wonderful company. They do really good, honorable work. They help people with disabilities and mental problems find housing and jobs. But they have a lot of turnover. They have a lot of absenteeism. They don't have great presenteeism. They don't pay very much because they get paid by Medi-Cal and other state funding and some philanthropy, but they're always looking for money. And stress comes in many forms for them, including unnecessary office meetings, kind of like this.
So, assessing the situation, are they breathing?
No, Rose, they are not breathing, and they have no arms or legs.
No, that's not part of it.
Where are they? You know what? If we come across somebody with no arms or legs, do we bother resuscitating them? I mean, what kind of quality of life do we have there?
I would want to live with no legs.
How about no arms? No arms or legs is basically how you exist right now, Kevin. You don't do anything.
All right, well, let's get back to it, because you're losing them. Okay, well, a good trick is to pump to the tune of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Do you know that song?
Yes, I do. I love that song. First I was afraid, I was petrified.
No, it's Staying Alive, Staying Alive.
You were in the parking lot earlier. That's how I know you.
staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive.
You can't tell by the way I use my walk. I'm the woman's man, no time to talk. Where's it now?
So not all unnecessary office meetings end in dancing, but they all should. And you can see that it really could be better. So what was our project? We gave everybody one of these 3 plants, like I'm going to give you one. So who has a plant that has recently died? A house plant. Okay. This is a philodendron, and it is impossible to kill. Philodendron, in fact, all these 3 plants are air cleaning. NASA did a study published in 1989 that showed that these 16 plants, including these 3, that philodendron, absorb benzene, toluene, dust, volatile organic compounds. These are called air cleaning plants, and if you go into any nursery, that's how they'll be promoted. But interestingly, it might not be the plant. It might not be the leaf that absorbs them. Why might the soil absorb volatile organic compounds? Anybody? Because there are all kinds of interesting bacteria, many of which we're familiar with, Pseudomonas, Streptococcus, Micrococcus, that actually use volatile organic compounds, toluene and xylene and benzene, as food. The soil metabolizes, the bacteria in that soil may metabolize those compounds. And so these are all packed by hand, by me, with organic potting soil. Who knows what this is? Well, maybe, okay, that was the wrong question. Mother's-in-law, okay. You're verbal. This is in the genus Sansevieria. It is also impossible to kill. You water them once a week. You give them low light. It too had a role in our study, and then finally, this I'll tell you is a Dracaena. It is a dragon tree plant. It is in what family? It's close to fern. No. Okay, the hint is that it forms little red berries like one common vegetable. Why is a holly a vegetable? And no. Sorry? Oh, no. No. Okay, this is a vegetable. Raspberry is not a fruit. What's wrong with you? You need to come to my organic farm.
Pepper?
No. Although it is technically a berry. That's very good. Okay, you get it anyway. So the actual answer is asparagus. When asparagus blooms, it's in the asparagus family. When the asparagus blooms, it forms a fern, also impossible to kill. And it forms a fern, and then it flowers, a little tiny pretty yellow flower, and then it forms a red holly-like berry that you can use in arrangements. Okay, so those are our 3 plants. We gave everybody the plant, and we told them they didn't have to do any of the other things that we sent them by text over the next 4 weeks. We sent them 12 texts after we gave them the plant. We said, if you want to, you could go outside for 10 minutes, deliberately. If you want to, you can set up a boundary ritual between you and work. That means change your clothes when you get home, take out your contacts, put on your glasses, whatever boundary ritual you want to set up. If you want to, you could do a 3-2 reset breath for 4 times. Like you inhale for 3 counts, you blow out for 2 counts, you repeat it 4 times when you're stressed, particularly if you have road rage. If you want to, you can watch these funny videos about nature, one of which I showed last year. And that's it. We made it all optional. Because remember, these are really stressed, burned out people. And they named their plants. We had them name their plants. And actually, I think that's important because you become attached to it. It becomes less cubicular. And I think that there's a bond, or kind of a bond in caring, that some people found important. We had just a few people. It's a pilot study, and these data have not yet been published, I hope they won't change that much, but they need to be peer-reviewed. Mostly women, mostly in their 30s, full-time employees. 60% of them, by the way, had a medical problem they related to stress. And lo and behold, in the standardized measures of chronic stress, the PSS-10, and of burnout, the Maslach burnout inventory specific for healthcare, they trended towards significance and then actually became significant. The burnout symptoms actually reversed with this short 4-week program. And executives did even better than clinicians did, but both had better stress scores, and executives also did better than clinicians in relieving specific symptoms, anxiety and back pain and neck pain and depression and trouble breathing and palpitations. These are all self-reported symptoms, not medical record review. Why might this have worked? Well, a scholar named Kuo at the University of Illinois, who's done some brilliant work, including at the Robert Taylor Homes, thinks that it may be because of improved immunity, and I have alluded to this previously. Maybe there's a microbiome change in the bacteria from the soil. Howard Frumkin has discussed both the stress recovery theory and the attention restoration theory, which Dr. Berman here on campus is working on as well and worked on in Michigan. Attention restoration theory is your attention being gently distracted by nature, by looking at the plant carefully, which is really different than getting texts all the time or having a list of things to do or hearing horns honking or any of the other kind of alpha stimulation that we get. Attention restoration theory is how nature probably works, I think. It allows you to softly focus and your attention to be drawn rather than demanded, which is, I think, a lot of what gets in the way. And then finally, my friend Aruni Bhatnagar at the University of Louisville believes actually it's this biophilic separation, which I'm going to talk about briefly. It could just be exercising outside, it could be socialization, it could be a lot of things. Biophilia is a term that E.O. Wilson coined and wrote a book by this name as well in 1984 as well, which goes something like this. We've evolved with trees and other plants, so being divorced from them, not having them around us at work, is itself a source of stress. And so when we replete them, maybe that's why this gets better. So I want to respect our time and say America has a nature problem. Workism kind of gets in the way of appreciating nature, but it's possible to change. It might be that we need more animal contact. It might mean we need more blue contact, whether that's running water or the sound of running water or the actual water at work. It might be that we need to think of nature in a more personal way, not as remote and fearsome and awesome as we see on TV, but instead the recipes that you cook, the ingredients in your salad, the dog by your feet, the aquarium in the office, the breeze ruffling your curtains. Maybe nature is much more personal than distant and remote. So, bring the outside in programmatically. If you choose an air cleaning plant, and you should, make sure that it's part of a program and it's coupled with deliberate time outside, which is what people in our study like the most. I think that office workers need access to green space and blue space, whether it's interior or outside or both. And the idea that progressive businesses can lead on this may transform absenteeism, presenteeism, and even better, stress and burnout at work. Thanks for your attention.
Excellent. We have time for 1 or 2 questions. All right.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.